Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Frosty, and welcome to the first episode of something I'm going to be calling Hot Takes. Essentially, I'm in a couple draft leagues, and I will be just talking about the teams and what I think about them and what I think the coaches could do to fix them. This one will also be ranked because it's PRs, but the ones I do after this will probably not be ranked from 15 to 1. This one's ranked 15 to 1 because I am not ranking myself. And I just feel like it's fair not to rank myself. There'd be a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Bias for that. Just know that this is a fun video. This isn't like definite. These coaches are going to be the top 8 or 7. Well, no matter what, be in playoffs. No, any of these coaches can make playoffs, and with the teams they got, because a coach is what defines the team. None of this is based off of coaches. All of this is just based off of how the team was drafted and how well it was put together. I'm taking a lot of things into account that we will see when we get to our first team. I'll show you the checklist, and I'll be showing you everything that the team needs to be fixed. If you end up liking this kind of content, or you just like Pokemon in general, go ahead and subscribe and get into the description and go follow my Twitch, because I do Nuzlocke over there on hopefully soon a daily basis. We are doing Pokemon Blazed Glaze. We're on attempt 2 right now. So go ahead and follow over there, and let's go ahead and get started, because I don't want this to be like 2 hours. Our first team with a rating of F is WALLY of the Hyper Survivors, right? Something like that. This team's bad. First off, 107 as your fastest mon is not good. And then 100 and 100 next. I mean, that's fine. But man, you really needed a 120 and like around a 130 and maybe like a 115 to 120. This team doesn't really have huge threats. I mean, it has Salamence, Rillaboom sometimes. On this team, I feel like Rillaboom's not going to be a big threat. Blacephalon can be a threat at times, but it's so frail, and everyone has a dark type that I feel like this mon's not going to be able to hit really well on this team. There's too many of the same typing as well. There are way too many ghosts on this team. There's 2 of them. You do not need Drifblim. I do not understand the, why you went for Drifblim as a Driftblim, not Driftbloom. That would be even worse. As your second mon. Luminion's not a bulky water. I'm sorry to say it. It's not going to be able to take a hit. Staraptor, I think, on this team is fine. I feel like there's too many flying types, but like, if you got rid of Drifblim, that'd probably just fix it. I don't understand why you went for Butterfree Gmax. I don't know. I think there's a better Gmaxes, but I mean, if you want to use Butterfree Gmax, use Butterfree Gmax. I feel like having 4 flying types is really, really overdoing it. And then, like, Steel. Having 2 Steel types, in my opinion, that do the exact same thing is bad. This team is very frail as well. That doesn't really have too many defensive options. It has, like, Steelix, and sometimes Rillaboom. Slowking Galar as well, but I feel like Slowking Galar on this team isn't going to be able to perform very well, especially since you're very, very weak to Ghost. Another big thing is you're weak to Dark. One of the worst types to be weak to, because everyone on their team, on someone's team, has a dark type, like, other than, like, you and a few other people. You need a dark type. You need a good bulky water. You really need a fairy type on this team as well. I mean, I guess Gardevoir is there, so really you don't need a fairy. It's weak to a lot of types. The core of Rillaboom, Luminion, and Blacephalon is bad. Rillaboom and Blacephalon I would keep 100% on this team. Luminion I would not. I will say I do like that there is a normal on this team to take Shadow Balls, but I feel like this team's not going to be able to perform very well unless, like, the coach is some god tier coach that can just win everything. And that's really all I have to say about this team. I cannot, for the life of me, find anything good to say about this team. Other than, like, Blacephalon's really good at attacking, as well as you know, Salamence. This team has a physical threat and a special threat. I mean, Salamence as your only, like, Salamence as your biggest physical threat is pretty good in my opinion. As well as, you know, Blissapalon as your biggest special threat is good, but this team is just frail. It's weak to fire, you know, a common type in drafting. Electric, almost everyone has an electric. You don't need an electric in my opinion, but almost everyone does have one. Ice in my opinion is fine to be weak to because almost every draft is weak to ice types, but no one drafts actual ice types. Rock is completely fine to be weak to other than Stealth Rocks. I'd definitely be wary of that. Ghost, I feel like you're fine with Ghost because of Kecleon, but I would definitely get rid of Drifblim, as I've already said. And Dark types is bad to be weak to. And I'm also going to go through this checklist real quickly. So as you can see on the checklist, there is, you know, immediate physical offense, which this team has. Immediate special offense, which this team has. Minimum of 2 hazard removals. That is something that this team does really well. It has like 4 or 5 hazard removals. It has no rapid spin, which is bad, but a lot of the teams don't have rapid spin, so I feel like it's going to be fine. Getting rid of them with defog will be okay. It does have a grounded poison. That is something I can say about this team that some of the other teams don't have. They just don't have grounded poison, which, in my opinion, you need a grounded poison so you can take in the T-Spikes, or your team's just going to get crushed by T-Spikes. Minimum of 3 hazard setters. You kind of have 3. You have, like, Kecleon for rocks. You have Steelix for rocks, and you have Klefki for spikes. I feel like these 3 alone will be fine. You do kind of have a fire, water, grass core, but I've already said it's bad. You do have a fairy, dragon, steel core, but it's like meh at best. I mean, I guess Gardevoir, Steelix, Salamence, pretty damn good. So yeah, that core is fine. You do not check your weaknesses with your, you know, walls. You do have healer / cleric support though. It's the worst team in my opinion. If you have anything, if you think that this team is, you know, better than worst or better than other ones, put it in the comments. I would really like to hear what y'all have to say about all these teams, especially the people in the league. I would like to hear what y'all have to say about these teams. If you think a team was rated too high, if you think a team was rated too low, go ahead and tell me. So let's go ahead and move on to number 14. Which, oh my god, I hope I don't butcher this. I really hope it's not, Inky. I'm gonna assume that's how it's said, rather than the way I think it's meant to be said. I don't want to get demonetized, so if that's not how you say your name, I am sorry. Well, I'm not gonna get demonetized, but, you know, I don't want YouTube's algorithm to say, hey, he said a bad word, let's just show this video to no one. That'd be bad for me. This team, I think it needs one more fast threat that's not 4 times weak to a type, because it's 2 fast threats. Noivern's not even a fast threat, right? I mean, it's really not. Weavile. It's weak to fighting by 4 times, which is a super, super common type. Noivern weak to ice, which, not the most common type for a move, but it's still going to be a huge problem. Both of these mons are weak to fairy types, which is really bad. Actually, your 3 fastest mons are weak to fairy types. And then Dragonite's weak to fairy types. This team is so fairy weak. I've never seen a team this fairy weak. This team absolutely needs a ground. I think every team needs a ground. I think there's like 1 or 2 teams that may be able to scoot by without it. This team needs a ground, absolutely. I would suggest a fast ground. I think someone's trying to trade off Doug Trio. Maybe try and grab that. This team absolutely needs a fairy type. And this team needs a steel type. I don't understand how you didn't grab a fairy and a steel. At least a fairy. I guess I can kind of understand some of the steals, but you need those. It is very weak to dark and dragon, as well as fairy and electric. Some super common types that are going to be really hard to deal with. Hazards will be really hard to set up because you have 2 hazard setters. You have 2. You have 3 different types of hazards, though. But you have 2 hazard setters, and both of them are, like, I guess Pincurrent is kind of okay. But Corsola Galar, like, it can take special hits, but it can't take physical hits. Also, this is teams rated to D. I think this team is like way better than Wally's team in my opinion. Urshifu Rapid Strike is pretty good. You know, I think Urshifu Rapid Strike is really slept on. I'm glad that you have it, but I feel like you need a fast threat that is not weak to fairy, not 4 times weak to a type. You need a better cleric as well. Satu as your cleric is bad. And this team has too many flying types anyways. It has 3 of them. You really didn't need Dragonite, Noivern, and Xatu. I feel like Dragonite on this team is just not good. Also, there's no huge special threat on this team. I mean, like, Noivern's special attack is 97. Clawitser's really not a special threat. I guess with Mega Launcher it could be, but it's not going to be able to hit hard enough before it dies. There is a lot of hazard removal. There's 3 hazard removals. 2 of them being basically hazard removal on this team. This team can run Trick Room, which is a pretty good thing. I think on Trick Room, this team would be really good, really nice. It has amazing physical threats. You know, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, and Weavile together, really, really nice. And the team just has, in general, it has Weavile, which is really, really good. But it has no grounded poison. It has, you know, no core, realistically, at all. Does have a normal type in Snorlax G-Max. I think that's fine. And its speed is just, in my opinion, the speed is too... You need a 100... You wanted, like, 100 to 115, in my opinion. You know, I feel like that would have been really, really nice for this team. Again, this team's just weak to way too many types. And its 2 biggest threats are Frail and weak to, like, weak to, you know, a very common type, as well as weak to Fairy. And I feel like this team is going to be very dependent on its coach, as I said for the last one. But it's not going to be nearly as bad as the last one getting off. This coach, as long as he can play just a little bit better than his opponent, they will probably just straight up end up winning a lot of the games. I can definitely see this team going to playoffs, but I don't see it getting there without a lot of maybe like FAs, maybe using all your FAs in the end, as well as I can't see it getting there without a lot of practice and mocks and prep. Like, I feel like hours of prep is going to go into this team to be able to beat its opponent, and every week that's going to get very, very, you know, grueling. Alright, so let's go on to 13. Honestly, Hermit's team is god-awful. I feel like you could switch 13 and 14 here, and it would be accurate as well. As a Trick Room team, this is probably the 2nd best Trick Room team that we have, but there are so many problems that it's a D-ranked team. It's not even on the cusp of being a C-ranked team. It is just D-ranked. First off, you stole Obstagoon from me, but I'm gonna, you know, say that's fine. This team cannot do much damage outside of, like, Hatterene, right? Goodra can do a little bit of damage here and there, and Aegislash can do a lot of damage, but, oh, my alarm's going off. Thank you, alarm. Aegislash can do a lot of damage, but you're probably going to bringing it as bulky more weeks because this team's a little frail. There's a fire weakness here, which is really bad, and that's because you got 2 grass types and a bug type. Although that bug type's not weak to fire. I mean, like, I don't... Oh, and, you know, Aegislash. I don't understand why you grabbed Tangela and Ferrothorn. I don't see why you would grab those 2 Pokemon. This team, in my opinion, I feel like this team needs a fast mon. Like, if you're going to be, like, full-on Trick Room, I'd say you need at least 100 to 115 mon, just in case your Trick Room doesn't work. Like, 1 Sweeper. This team also has, like, this team has 2 grass types, 2 steel types, and 2 ghost types. And 2 normal types. I feel like the 2 normal types are completely fine, though. Obstagoon and Porygon 2, you know, they synergize really well with each other. I do not understand Ferrothorn and Tangela being on this team. You don't need Tangela on this. I do not understand Palossand and Aegislash. Drop Palossand for a better ground, in my opinion. That's not weak to Ghost. You know, being weak to both Fire and, you know, Dark. And also being kind of weak to Fairy. You know, you have Aegislash and Ferrothorn as Resist, but, you know, a lot of Fairy types get Fire-type moves. Like, I think, like, most Fairy types do get Fire moves. This team also has, like, 0 removal. Like, absolutely zero removal and, like, 1 physical threat in Crustle. I mean, Goodra can sometimes be a physical threat, but, like, Crustle's your best physical threat, and that's 105 attack. This team is bad. I can, if you make a, you know, I don't think this is, like, the worst team, but this is definitely number 13 or number 14. You can make a, you know, case for Q-Inky being number 13 rather than number 14. I don't think you can make a case of both of them being higher up, in my opinion. But I mean, like, I feel like this team's gonna have a really hard time getting off. I know that this coach is really good, but this coach needs to make some FAs, like, quickly. Like, really quickly, because, man, this team's gonna have a really hard time. Like, look at the moves to watch for. It's almost all empty. That's really bad, in my opinion. This is a D-rank team, not on the cusp of C. Alright, we have 12. Who is... Oh, I keep... Slim! Our first C-rank team. This was, like, nowhere near D-rank. This team's actually really nice. You know, Zapdos, Infernape, Tapu Lele, Milotic, Dugtrio, Kartana, Flapple Gmax, Moltres, Galar, Haunter, Dottler. I feel like this team's actually pretty, you know, decent. I have a bunch of cons and actually some really good pros. You know, Dugtrio being your fastest mon, not great in my opinion, but your speed tiers are actually intact. You know, you have 120, 109, 108, 100. I feel like this is fine. I feel like Dugtrio being your fastest isn't okay. Maybe grab like 130. I said you need one more fast breaker so that you can actually do really well with this team. This team can do really well if you can get one more fast breaker. There's no steel on the team as well. That's like, I mean, technically, no real steel type, right? Kartana's not a steel type. Kartana's a grass type. Kartana's not a steel type, in my opinion. You're not going to be able to tank hits with it. I mean, like, I know its defense is really high. Don't look at that defense. Don't look at the 131 defense. It can't take a Fire Fang. It can't take any hits that are, you know, that have fire in front of them or a fire type, right? One thing I really like about this team is it's super hyper offensive. But it has no bulk outside of Milo. I mean, Tapu Lele kinda. I feel like, you know, you could have grabbed one more Bulkmon. It has no wish support at all, which is really bad, so no real cleric on this team. Has only one real rocker. You're never running Stealth Rocks on Infernape. It does have webs, but it only has like one good way to get rid of, you know, hazards, which is Zapdos. Those are the reasons why I feel like this team isn't the best, but this team can definitely perform when its coach can. If its coach can get one more fast breaker, I feel like this team would be like, maybe not top 8, but I think it'd be really good if it could get one more fast breaker. Like, I feel like Haunter is kind of useless on this team. I really like that you grabbed Moltres Galar. I think your core is fine, honestly. You know, having Infernape, Milotic, Kartana as your core is really cool. I think that's a really nice core. You know, also Tapu Lele, Kartana, and Flapple. Flapple, I think, is really nice. I think it's really nice to have Flapple. If a team can't bulk this team, then that team is probably not winning. However, if a team has enough bulk to survive its hits, this team's going to lose. Which there's a few coaches who have extremely bulky teams. So let's talk about one of the ones I'm sad about, because I didn't know anyone other than like Hermit. I was upset with Hermit, but Hermit always drafts trash. This team, I'm very, very upset with the coach for drafting, in my opinion, one of the worst teams. ASHMIT, what happened, buddy? This team is so bad. First off, 130 to 100 as your speed tiers. That's bad. You need a 110 to 120. You needed one more, really. The team has no grounded poison. Oh man, this team needs a grounded poison too. I mean, Crobat, I feel like, won't do you very much on this team. Well, no, Crobat will do you a bunch, but Crobat being like the only real defogger isn't doing you very well. The team's also super weak to ground and water types, especially since you grabbed Sandaconda Gmax when it is straight up like, I don't understand why you grabbed Sandaconda G-Max. It's kind of useless on this team. As your G-Max, I mean, like, man, I feel like Pikachu would have worked better. Because, like, then at least you'd have Light Ball Pikachu rather than, you know, just Sandaconda G-Max. I feel like Sandaconda G-Max is useless on this team. It's a ground type, though, I'll give you that. But Silvally can be the ground type. I feel like, you know, without Sand, Sandaconda's just going to be bad here. Well, maybe you know, the coach can prove me wrong, but you know, set up sweepers just annihilate this team. Anything that can set up and is faster than Crobat, you know, just bye team. The core is really bad in my opinion. You know, Jirachi, Primarina, Appleton. Appleton's not a real dragon. I'm sorry. Maybe you were going for Primarina, Arcanine, Appleton. I mean, I guess that's okay. It's fine. No Heal Bell. So, like, poison. Like, no Heal Bell and no grounded poison. Man. There's one thing that this team does really well. Really, really well. It supports Urshifu. But if Urshifu is going to be your only Mon that can do anything, realistically, and then maybe Primarina here and there, that's not good. I like Xurkitree on this team, but, like, I feel like Xurkitree's not going to be able to do much. As well as, you know, Urshifu. Once Urshifu dies, this team is super easy to handle. So it's going to be up to the coach to be able to make sure Urshifu just straight up doesn't die. Especially with, like, I mean, you have the best Wish user in the game, at least. The best, like, Cleric. The only problem is, I don't know why this Cleric doesn't get Heal Bell. I think this team needs Heal Bell, but maybe not. If it gets a grounded poison, it absolutely doesn't need Heal Bell. But, yeah. I mean, like, burns are also pretty bad for this team because a decent amount of them are physical attackers. This team's going to be, in my opinion, really hard to, you know, get pulled off, but it'll be fine. One thing I do really like about this team, other than, you know, it supports Urshifu, is it has webs, right? Yeah, it has webs with Shuckle. One of the best web users in the game. You know, I think with webs, this team could definitely do really well. And I, you know, very well expect ASHMIT to be in playoffs with us. I'm not sure if he will. We'll see. But, you know, it'd be really cool. I just don't think his team's very good. But, you know, he can prove me wrong. Here we're at number 10. I think this is our last C-ranked team. Sergio. Sergio was like, oh, if I'm in the bottom 5, you're never gonna hear the end of it. You're not in the bottom 5, right? 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, you're not in the bottom 5. You're in the bottom 6. This team has Mew, which immediately makes this team threatening, right? However, it doesn't support Mew the best, in my opinion. You needed a real steel type. Duraludon is not a real steel type. It's a dragon type here. I think as a dragon, it's pretty good here. One of the biggest things about this team, right, is it's fast. It is very, very fast. But it's frail. Most of these mons can't take a hit. Other than, like, Lapras and Mimikyu and Muckalola. Those 3 mons alone are gonna have to, like, take all the hits for you. You know, being weak to Ghost, but, like, it's fine. However, being weak to, like, having, like, no really good fairy resist other than Charizard isn't good. You know, you needed a steel type that wasn't a dragon type, essentially. I feel like maybe grabbing another steel type would be okay. Has no, like, cleric. Pikachu is not a cleric. I am sorry to say it. Mew is pretty good here. I think the best thing about this team is Mew, right? I think this team needs a lot of things. You know, it has pretty good mons, but it needs a lot of things. I would start with, like, maybe getting another steel, a bulky steel, and then this team would be way better. This team also really doesn't have a big, you know, special attacker. I mean, Keldeo, but I feel like Keldeo is just not going to be doing much. Let's get to our number 9 spot, our first B rank. Also, Sergio was on the cusp of B rank. I feel like this team is really nice. I don't have a lot of bad or a lot of good to say, but I feel like this team is really nice, but needs some work. It really could have been like a low B, but we're putting number 9 as our first B. Emma was like, oh, I'm gonna get my team trashed. No, this team's actually pretty good. There's one huge problem with it. Like, one huge problem that, like, I guess like 2 or 3 huge problems that make it bad. But the biggest problem is this team has 2 ground types. Dude, you do not need 2 ground types. You need 1 ground type. I feel like Gastrodon works with this team better than Mamoswine, sadly. Mamoswine's really cool, but man, replacing Mamoswine for a dark type would be really nice. This team has 1 hazard removal. You're not running Defog on Superior. I'm sorry. If you run Defog on Superior, that's going to be really, really awkward when they just kill you in 1 hit. You know, this team has everything it needs, technically, but, like, it really only has 1 removal. It has no dark type. Please get a Psychic... Oh! Drapion's a dark type. I thought this... Okay. I didn't even see Drapion. This team's still not the best. I think this team needs a second dark type, realistically. It really needs a Defogger, though. Another Defogger. A real Defogger. So if you don't want to grab a dark type, you don't have to, because you have Drapion. I didn't even see that. When I was looking through the teams, I went through them, like, late at night. You don't really need a dark type, then, if you have Drapion, as well as you have them as a grounded poison. You really need another Defogger or a Spinner. I recommend a Defogger. Articuno Galar on this team is also just straight up useless. You're never bringing Articuno Galar. I feel like Boltund is bad on this team. It's fast, but it's not fast enough. I mean, like, it also doesn't get toxic, which is a big problem. That's a huge problem. But I think this team will be really well... This team is really well built, in my opinion. You know, Polt immediately makes this, like, terrifying. Polt, Heatran, Sylveon, probably one of the best cores we got. It's a 7 out of 10, in my opinion. And then you, like, grab some stuff that can really, you know, help it out. I feel like Mamoswine, Boltund, and Articuno Galar can go for... I mean, you can grab another dark type, but you definitely need a real Defogger. You definitely need a better, fast electric. And you don't need Articuno Galar. I'm sorry to say it, you don't. What am I listening to? This isn't Harris Heller. Oh man, hopefully I don't get copyright claimed. I feel like I'm gonna get copyright claimed now. Because I don't know why the Harris Heller music's not. Alright, yeah, so I didn't see the dark type, but still I think this team is still 9. It needs another Defogger. The whole dark type thing really wasn't the reason it's so low. The reason it's so low is because of its hazard removal being bad, and having 2 ground types, like, brought it really down low because you're so weak to grass. Even though you cover your grass weakness, it's still bad, in my opinion. Alright, let's move on with number 8. Our second or third Trick Room team. Crawdad. God, why there's so many Trick Room teams. It needs a normal type. It really does. That would fix the ghost weakness. I do not understand the, you know, premise of Shelmet, Golem, Alola. I don't understand why you grabbed this. I just can't see. It needs a bulky grass. It needs a fairy. It really needs a normal. Those are like the 3 things it needs. I kind of feel like Dracovish is useless here, but it is a dragon, so you can make it useful outside of, you know, weather. I feel like Dracovish works best with weather, but I don't want to see anyone else get Dracovish, because I feel like if the Sand team got Dracovish, that team would be, you know, killing everyone. I think this team has really nice bulk, and it is super well balanced. It has one of the best, like, not best, it has like a really nice grounded poison. The only problem is it's 4 times weak to ground, but that's fine. Your only weakness really being, you know, Stealth Rocks and Ghost is really, really good, in my opinion. You know, Ghost types you can fix with a normal type. I mean, you have Umbreon right there as well. I feel like you don't need Shelmet, Golem, Alola, and I wouldn't drop Dracovish. I would just use it as a dragon type. You know, it'll be pretty good as well. I feel like maybe you don't need... Nah, having Jellicent Dracovish on this team is really nice. But I feel like you really don't need Golem, Alola, and Shelmet. Even though they're Stealth Rocks users, you do have a lot of other things you can do. Alright. Move on to number 7. Someone who told me not to say something specific about his team that I'm going to say. Marshadow. First off, he changed his logo. His logo looks so cool now. He is our last B? No. He may not be our last B. He's either our last B. Yeah, I think he's our last B. First things first. The worst mon on your team is your fastest mon. I guess Basculin, but the worst actual mon on your team is your fastest mon is your worst. Persian Alola's trash. Don't have Persian Alola on your teams. It is so bad. It can't take hits. Even though it has fur coat, it cannot for the life of it take hits. It has one Weber, with your fastest being 115. I feel like you want a second Weber when you're gonna have, your fastest be 115. His whole thing was, oh, I grab, medium speed webs. Why'd you only grab one Weber? Especially when your Weber's as frail as Galvantula is. It's not the most offensive team, but it's really, really good with its defensive. This team's gonna be really hard to break. It has a good team. It doesn't really have a real steal, but I feel like since it's Duraludon Gmax, I feel like it works here. This team actually doesn't even really need a steal, in my opinion. Even without Duraludon Gmax, I feel like it wouldn't really need a steal. It would need a dragon. But this team's really nice. It has Wish support on 2 different mons. It has a really nice defensive wall in Cryogonal. And, technically, I guess Persian Alola, but that's not taking hits. I'm sorry. I've used Persian Alola. It's awful. Duraludon Gmax is a better defensive wall. Gliscor in this team is really nice. I feel like this team's going to be used a lot for, this team is going to be used a lot for, what's it called? Man, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but stalling. This team will be very big with stall, I think. Being very, very bulky. With the stalling capabilities you have. Sorry, I thought I heard something. I feel like this team's gonna be really good at stall. That's about it. Webs. I think you need one more Weber. This team would become like top 5 with one more Weber, I think. I feel like the offense is meh. But I do feel like with one more Weber, this team would be A tier. And if your fastest wasn't Persian Alola. Alright, let's move on to number 6. I think this is our first A-rank team, right? We don't have many A-ranks. Yeah. Joe Shawls. I bought Joe Shawls for week 1. This team is terrifying, I'm not going to lie. It has no real core, but man, it doesn't need it. This team is really balanced. Corviknight Gmax Conkeldurr. Man, my throat is hurting. This team is super, super well balanced. It's weak to grass. It lacks a dragon, in my opinion. Special. It also lacks special defense. But I think that's fine, honestly, for this team. This team lacking special defense, in my opinion, is fine. It lacks a grounded poison as well. I think it needs a grounded poison, realistically. I think, personally, another 115 plus would be really, really nice. It doesn't need it, but another, one more would be pretty nice. I would say drop Frogadier and Prinplup. You do not need them. I also don't think this team needs a bulky water. Even though I normally say every team needs one, I feel like this team doesn't absolutely need one. I'd say also drop Cradily, maybe Grimmsnarl as well, since you already have a fairy type, and then maybe just grab a, lower pointage, dark type. Other than that, this seems really nice, it seems really, really good. This team's gonna be really, really hard to beat. I'm not gonna spoil anything for Sunday's video, but this team, week 1 was really harsh for me. We're gonna move on to number 5. With our first weather team. Yay, we finally got to weather. Oh my god, this is such a good sun team. The only problem is it's a little. You needed one more 105 to 140. Like, I feel like a 130 here would be so nice. Zera being like your only real fast mon is pretty, meh. But other than that, this is like a hyper offensive team that is so good. The only problem is your answer to like ground types is Venusaur. And like, I guess Charizard G-Max. But I feel like you're not, like, most steel ground types get like Rock Slide. That's gonna be a pain. This team's also gonna be able to stall. This team is very offensive, and it's gonna hurt getting hit by it more than like any other super offensive team. The other problem is like there's like no dragon type, right? I feel like, this team kind of needs one. That's like the one thing I think this team needs, a dragon type. All it needs. Oh, and then like maybe like a better, immediate special threat. It's best to Zoroark, and in my opinion, that's not the best immediate special threat, but it can be. I guess Charizard G-Max can do a lot of special damage, but it's gonna be wanting to do more physical. Especially with Sun Up. So this is going to be really, this team's going to be really hard to beat. You're going to have really strong mons to beat this team. You're going to have rocks up at all times. Also, this team is really good at being able to set up hazards and get rid of them. Well, I guess not get rid of them, because you only have one. Yeah, you only have one defogger. I mean, you only have one removal, and I feel like you're not going to want defog on, I feel like you really don't want defog on Charizard. So yeah, maybe like I feel like this team and Marshadows could be just switched. Not Marshadows. Like the last three teams, so like Upratter, Joe Shawls, and Marshadow, I feel like all could kind of be switched around and you'd be right. Let's go ahead and get on to number 4. I think this is our last A-rank team. We only have 2. Glenn! Oh my god, this team is terrifying. This team is a sand team that is very terrifying. There's one thing that I don't like here, right? Why the hell did you grab Vanillux? I do not understand for the life of me why you grabbed Vanillux. I feel like you need one more sand setter. I mean, like, probably don't absolutely need it. But maybe having, like, Hippotas, just as, like, just as a low-tier sand setter could be nice. I don't think it absolutely needs it. I would absolutely get a grounded poison. Even though Excadrill isn't weak to Toxic, I'd still get one. For all your other mons. Jolteon being your fastest mon is okay in my opinion when you have Greninja and Comfey right there being decently fast. I would have liked to see one more like 115 mon. That's fine. The only, huge problem is this team has no healer/cleric support. Which, you can get a grounded poison, a healer/cleric support, and, like, if you want it, the extra sand setter. Otherwise, I think this team's going to be, like, really good. I think this team's going to do amazing. I'm trying to go through these fast so that my throat, like, me talking a lot is just making my throat hurt. So, I feel like, gonna hurt. But I'm trying to go through these really fast so that you get PRs tomorrow. This video is nowhere near as long as I thought it would be, thankfully. It's probably gonna be around in like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. So, let's go and get on to number 3. Spirit Union. Yeah, I kind of thought Spirit Union would be up here. He's an S-rank team. This team is really good. The only problem is it's slow as hell. But this is like the best Trick Room team, right? I mean, like, it has Melmetal, G-Max, Finny, Zygarde as its core. Immediately, that's threatening. Also, the only thing, like, realistically, like, defining these last 3 as, like, 3, 2, and 1 is their cores, in my opinion. Their cores are completely different, and I feel like their cores is what defines their strength. This team is slow. This team is super slow. That's the only bad thing about this team. I cannot find another bad thing about this team. It has really good wish support not Clefable. I have Clefable. Wigglytuff. It has really, really good, a really, really good grounded poison. It has really good, defoggers, 3 of them. All 3 of them want to run defog. It has a water weakness and a ground weakness. That's like another big problem. Water's going to be a big problem. Maybe drop Auroras. You do not need Auroras for the... Like, I don't know why you grabbed Auroras. This makes no sense. But this team's going to be able to do really well. You know, this team's going to be really good. I feel like this team's going to, you know, basically just make playoffs with its team alone. Especially since Spirit is a really damn good coach. Next coach. I have no idea who they are. Rin is number 2. This team is terrifying. It is the most balanced team. The only nitpick I have is it has no spinner. And no fast electric. No fast electric is okay. Here, though, since Rotom Wash is here. This team and the next team are basically the exact same with how good they are, other than their cores define them. Garchomp, Scizor, and what's your Slurpuff is a really good core, right? I feel like this core is going to be able to do a lot. Slurpuff as your fairy is not the best, but it'll be fine. This team is going to do a lot of damage. I don't know if this coach is, you know, really, really good or if they're really, really bad. But man, you know, this team is so good. You have like 3 really good defoggers. This team is not going to be weak. I feel like this team is going to like win over half its battles. Last but not least, you know, you all saw it coming. DD. And their rank is, why'd we let him get this? The only thing that is really different between this and Rin is this guy has the most broken core of the entire league. Celesteela, Latias, Florges. Oh my god. Why is this core so good? The team is not even slow. 120, 110, 105. I would have liked to see a 90, but you don't absolutely need a 90 when you have those 3 as your fastest mons. Inteleon Gmox is going to be okay here. There's only one dead weight mod here, Articuno. I feel like you don't need Articuno, but it's nice to have the defog. The team has no rapid spin, but I feel like that's fine. You know, 90% of the teams don't have rapid spin. I think like one team has rapid spin. This team is going to win every game other than like 1 or 2 where the coach just doesn't play well. Especially with how good of a coach he is, but I'm not basing this off of coaches. This team is just straight up the best. It's weak to ice types, yes. But every team's weak to ice types. You know, every team has like a weird ice weakness. Yeah, this team's terrifying. So, I'm scared of this team. I don't even fight them till like week 10. So, if you enjoyed my PRs, go ahead and subscribe. If you know, disagree with me, you know, comment, get that YouTube algorithm for me. I'm going to real quickly say where I would rank myself. So, personally, like, if you wanted to know where I would rank myself, I don't have my team up, but I would probably rank myself above Joshals and maybe above Apparator, but, like, I would probably be somewhere from 6 to 4, in my opinion. I think I'd be somewhere from 6, maybe to 3. Maybe a little bit better than Glenn. I don't think so. I'd rank myself somewhere from 6 to 3. Mainly because of the threats I got. But take that as it is. You know, watch my video from yesterday. See my team. Yo, tell me what you think. Go in the description. Go follow my Twitch. Subscribe to this channel. And also go join BBDL server. And also my Discord server. So, if you enjoyed, then do all that stuff. And bye-bye, YouTube.